Is attacking the CBC really as dangerous to the Conservatives as the Toronto Star and the CBC say? I mean, it's usually crazy to take political advice from your opponent, but is it true? Well, let's ask the consummate Liberal Party family, Kate and Perry and Bruce over there at Spark Advocacy. Our Spark Insights research reveals that across the country, 45% are drawn to the argument, shut the CBC down and save tax dollars, and only a bare majority, 55%, choose I value the CBC and want it maintained. Given these two alternatives, sample size 1,200 nationwide, and the polling was done by Abacus Data. That's crazy, 45-55. Even with the CBC and the rest of the media in full war mode, the Toronto Star helping, Trudeau personally helping, almost half the people are ready to flush the CBC. I'll read more. This is a Liberal firm, I repeat. To be sure, Conservative voters, 66%, lead the way in enthusiasm for shutting down the corporation, but just over 1 in 3, 36% of Liberal voters feel this way, and a third of NDP voters do too. A striking number in the mix has to do with younger people. A majority of those under 30, 55%, would close the CBC down. And while Albertans, 57%, lead all regions in desire to end the CBC, Quebec residents are not that far behind, 47%. Yeah, young people just don't trust the CBC. 55% of people under 29 want to defund it. Of course they do. They're watching Netflix or Amazon Prime or Crave or HBO or Disney Plus or a sports network or whatever. No one wants to watch the CBC, let alone be forced to pay for it. I'm surprised that so many seniors like the CBC. Normally seniors are more conservative, but I guess they're just in a rut. They're in a habit of watching, in a routine. You watch something for 40 years, before the era of 100 channels and 1 million websites, you get used to it. It's comfy. Even if you don't like it, it's like an old pair of, slippers. Obviously, Conservative Party and PPC Party members hate it, but even a third of the NDP. And if 36% of Liberals disagree with Trudeau and want to sell it, he's in trouble. Obviously, Alberta and the prairies, but almost 50-50 in Ontario and Quebec. But my favorite question is the one reason for this. Defund or not to defund? That's a good question. But look at this. Is CBC News propaganda? While most people don't think CBC News is propaganda, a striking 40% believe the opposite. Once again, young people are far more likely than older people to feel this way. Again, young people are the most skeptical. 55% say the CBC is propaganda. It goes down by age. Again, you'd think older people would be savvier or more skeptical. And look at the provincial stats. The prairies despise the CBC, but they're only returning the favor on issues that matter to the prairies, from the oil sands to mining to pipelines to agriculture, the carbon tax to firearms to provincial rights to opposition to forced French bilingualism. The CBC is a propaganda agency. It's not even really a question or a matter of opinion. It's just true. Here's what Liberal Bruce Anderson had to say. What to make of it? Times have changed in the media landscape, and there's far less attachment to the CBC than once was the case. Presumably, this has to do a lot with the explosion of options for news and entertainment in the digital age, which is reflective in the massive age differences. But there is also possibly a lack of anticipation or consideration of what would be lost if the CBC was no more. If people think it's not that necessary, then cutting government spending in this area seems like an easy choice. Yeah, guys, you don't know what you're missing. You don't know what you'll lose. Sure, yeah. There's tons of 18 and 20-year-olds who just can't get enough of This Hour Is 22 Minutes and the politically correct comedy. Yeah, they don't know what they're missing. That was an excerpt from the Ezra Levant Show. I'm Ezra Levant. Every weekday, I do a monologue about the topic of the day. Then I interview a fascinating guest either in studio or via Skype. And then I read your mail, whether it's fan mail or hate mail, which is sometimes even more interesting. This is on our premium service, though, called Rebel News Plus. Go to rebelnewsplus.com. It's $8 a month or less if you buy a whole year in advance. You get my show every weeknight, plus Sheila Gunn Reid's show every week. It's called The Gun Show. It's pretty amazing. You know, we rely on you because we do not take a dime from the government. In Canada, that makes us almost unique. So please help us out and help yourself to some great journalism at rebelnewsplus.com.